Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to an edition of Bitcoin Q&A. I was meant to do an episode of Toxic Happy Hour with my good friend Poppy, but he double booked today because the boy doesn't run a calendar. Yep, Marty, there you go. So this is actually not a Toxic Happy Hour. This is a bit of a, shall we call it, a Bitcoin community service. If anyone wants to know my opinion about Bitcoin, I can see there are no questions yet in the chat, but that's the focus of this session um, to uh, to answer any questions, debunk, FOD, etc. I think a lot of you here today will be from eToro, that platform, and there's a lot of basic level questions that I feel are very important to get answered. So yeah, sorry, no toxic happy hour today. We have, however, when you want the really fun part, tomorrow, Toxic Happy Hour, same time, 11 a.m. PST, with Jimmy Song, who's a Bitcoin Core contributor. And he's a well-known programmer on the Bitcoin blockchain. He's written books about it. So we have him on tomorrow at 11 a.m. PST. And all right, straight up, let's go to the first question. I think, so before I start with this question, by the way, I got Bitcoin TV running there in the background that runs 24/7 with some good content. It's on YouTube. So before we go into Ethereum, I know people have some questions about what happened to the price overnight. The price went from, we were yesterday at what, 57 or something. Then it went down to 47. So quite a drop. But this is not dramatic. This is what I've been telling everyone to prepare for. There are going to be some pullbacks, some corrections, and some whiplashes on the way. These won't hurt you as long as you keep your strong hand and don't panic sell, because we are, everything historically, all the data is showing we're going much higher. I have zero doubt that we're going above 300,000 the next 12 months, highly likely significant above. So, and probably not even 12 months from now. So, if you do the same kind of research and look into the things and come to the same conclusion, you don't want to be risk being stopped out. So for the people on eToro, and this is why I'm also writing to you guys in my pinned post, don't make some tight stop losses, because all a stop loss does is you are forced to sell your Bitcoin at a low price. So that's why I say I do not use a stop loss, because I have full 2000% conviction that we're going much higher. So I don't want any short-term market turbulence, anything for me to lose my Bitcoin. I want to keep my Bitcoin. So I don't have a stop loss at all. What is, Marty Sal, I just saw your question. So what does this mean for, how do you deal with that on eToro? As I told you, make as loose a stop loss as possible. That would be the closest thing to what I do as possible. Of course, it's your own financial decision. I'm telling you what I would do. If you put it at 5%, it means that it has to drop 95% because before you're forced to sell. I believe they do force you to have a stop loss. That's what I would do, because then you're not forced to sell your Bitcoin cheap. All right, so why don't I like ETH? For many, many, many reasons don't I like Ethereum. First of all, there's no real use case for Ethereum. Ethereum has been around for a long time. Bitcoin has been around for a longer time, but Bitcoin has served a purpose every single day since inception. Ethereum still, when you talk to Ethereum people, you hear that oh, these things, we need to put them on the blockchain, and then we could also do this, and it's all fancy and big buzzwords, and people who don't really understand it think, oh, it makes sense to track something on the blockchain, but if it made sense, they would do it already. The only thing Ethereum is used for is creating other tokens on top of it that I also call shitcoins. And people get angry sometimes when Bitcoin maximalists like myself use the word shitcoin. But you know what? We're fighting a war against a tyrannic regime from central bankers that is used to finance military and aggressive wars overseas, and millions of people are being killed. So if we say swear words in our fight to get rid of that regime, then I'm so sorry. I don't have any sympathy with not being able to. We get angry. We're not killing people. But we use words like shit coins about altcoins, because altcoins is a term, and this is Giacomo Zucco who said this once. Altcoin is a name that hints that it's a coin with an alternative use case. There are no alternative use cases. I'll get back more to Ethereum. So that's why that's the only use case. It's one shitcoin to build other shitcoins on top. And I won't apologize for language, because we are. I mean, if you get offended, I'm so sorry, but we are fighting against a tyrannical central money bank printing regime that is killing millions of people. So these are the only weapons we use. So bear with me. So Ethereum has all these future use cases, maybe, yeah, but if it was useful, it would be used now. It's not. Ethereum also have a huge scaling problem, that right now their blockchain is not scaling, and their blockchain is growing at a very rapid pace, and it's very big, which means that now it's impossible for private people, unless they have $1,000 equipment or something like that, to actually host a node on the Ethereum blockchain. And when you have less and less nodes, which is what is happening on Ethereum, it ends up becoming centralized, which means you have centralized parties with power that decides if they want to put your transaction in the Ethereum blockchain, or if they want to reject it. That's why it's very important to keep the Bitcoin block size at 1 megabyte, as it is right now, or at least that's the soft cap, and then there's SEC, which does allow for more. But that's why it's important to keep the block size very limited, because it means that decentralization can happen, and is happening, and is prevalent on Bitcoin, which is being removed from Ethereum. So it's becoming centralized, it's running on servers like on Amazon, and that's why there's a huge problem there. That means the whole concept of decentralization and immutability, and government can't censor your payment and all that, that's all down the drain, right? So that's another reason why Ethereum is a shit coin. Furthermore, so for something to have value in this world, it needs to have scarcity. The most important commodity we all have access to is oxygen. Without oxygen, we would all be dead in 5 minutes or so. Some of us sooner, some of us maybe later, but you get the point. Ethereum has no limited supply. Ethereum is unlimited. You can't even verify the outstanding amount of Ethereum when you read it on websites, how much they're saying there is. It's based on assumptions. You cannot go and verify Ethereum supply. And it's unlimited. It has a high inflation rate, and it's going to keep going, and it's going to keep going. So these are some of the reasons. But first and foremost, when they created Ethereum, they gave 70% of that pre-mine to themselves. So you need to understand that there's a financial incentive from Ethereum and all the other shit coins, that the founders have given a lot of coin to themselves, and then they pump it to you and convince you that it has all these use cases that I claim don't exist, in order for you to buy into it, thinking you're buying doing an investment, and it's that never pans out. And it's so the whole incentive structure is to enrich the founders who gave themselves a lot of the coin. Bitcoin never enriched, never gave a pre-mine to Satoshi Nakamoto or Hal Finney or any of those. Everyone could join. It was an open source. Everyone could join, mine with their computer, secure the Bitcoin network, and that was how Bitcoin was distributed. All right, on to the next question. I think I've made it clear. Do you think stock to flow is predicting all the stimulus payments in order to raise price? If that makes sense. I totally get your question. So I am a believer in stock to flow, stock S2FX, a cross asset model. However, it is a model, of course, based on historic data. It does fit historic data very well, and you can, of course, argue that you can make any model that fits historic data, but there's a lot of, I believe, good statistical, argumentation that it is more than just a random model. That being said, and this is something you're asking me something, Ryan, that I've spoken about, I think, a lot, maybe the last 5 months or so, where it became apparent to me that this bull run was going faster than I originally intended and predicted. So you're right, stock to flow has maybe worked in the past because there was the same level of quantitative easing each year, so it kind of became a a constant you could take out, make it a constant because it was just like a regular flow of quantitative easing and extra money in the system. But absolutely agree, and this is a great point. Stimulus payments and not has increased the dilution and destruction of the dollar. In other countries, it's in their currency. I gotta have a sip of coffee because no coffee, no worky. That you got to know that about me. No coffee, no worky. And yesterday I had delivered from Amazon my wonderful Pete. I think it's called Pete's, a grind coffee, and it's delicious. I got to have a sip of coffee, otherwise I can't keep talking. All right, 2 sips. It's so good. So no doubt that what happened in March with where they decided in a matter of a week or so to expand the dollars in circulation with about 20%, that clearly brings about a destruction of the dollar faster, because the knowledge of the dollar losing value is spreading at an increased pace. It used to be retail investors and hardcore Bitcoiners like myself saying, no, that, dollar is not money, it's only currency because it cannot store value. And in the dictionary, if you look at money, it says it can store value. But what happened in March triggered Michael Saylor, that is the founder and CEO and majority stockholder of MicroStrategy, which is now a famous company in Bitcoin, triggered him to say, we have $5 million on our balance sheet. But it's now I can, before it was losing value 5, 6, 7% a year because more was printed. And I know you don't see maybe 7% in the supermarket, or they hide that. But there's 2 types of inflation. There's consumer inflation, and for the people at the bottom of society and with low wages, they don't see that extra money printing is not going to them. So those prices don't have much inflation. But look at the real estate prices and look at the stock prices through the roof, and pretty much constantly, not only like this year, last year, the last decade, because that's when they started quantitative easing. So all of that is bringing about a, as Michael Saylor said, it's like 7-8%. I think he said there is a dilution of cash, and that was like the cost of holding cash. But then they stepped it up and said, no, we're going to do 20% right here, right now. And he realized that holding cash was a really bad idea. That's what us Bitcoiners have known for a long time. That's the word we're trying to spread in order to save our loved ones, to save humanity from this central bank stealing of the value of your savings. It's theft, and the money is being used without permission, basically. Because if you raise taxes as a government, you kind of have to concur as a citizen. But if you just dilute the savings, you don't see it, how they're just taking the value of your savings. So this whole stimulus, I know I'm taking a long time to answer the questions. I want to do it thoroughly, and I may have to speed up. But when they started killing the currency and printing it so fast, MicroStrategy realized this is no good. We need to store the value of $500 million. He looked at stocks, not really good for storing value. It's unpredictable which companies to buy. Real estate also, it's not liquid. And so he did all the research, and he came to the conclusion that Bitcoin by far is the best way to, in a liquid way, store value. There's no other better store value than Bitcoin. The world has never seen a better store value of Bitcoin. That, by the way, if you go back to my notes on Ethereum, saying that one problem for it to ever have long-term value is the fact that the supply is unlimited. Well, Bitcoin has 100% hard cap limited supply. So he bought $425 million worth of Bitcoin. A few months later, this is last year, last summer, he threw in another 50 million. He kept finding a little bit of money, realizing that it's best for us if we throw it in Bitcoin. He holds no cash now in the company, or very, very limited. For me, it's the same thing. For a lot of Bitcoiners, it's the same thing. We don't like to hold US dollar cash or whatever country in euro, whatever, because we know they're diluting it. So we like to hold Bitcoin instead. It's a liquid asset. If I need money, I can sell some Bitcoin, but I prefer not to incur any cost that means I have to touch my Bitcoin. I would like to wait doing that until Bitcoin reaches what I believe is its full potential of $20 million buying power, because why would I buy something now when I can, when my money has 400x buying power, 5 years from now, or something like plus minus. So yes, stimulus has this is breaking the stock to flow model. So we gotta raise our targets, I think, very significantly. So when I previously have said 300,000, this is not a prediction. All I'm saying is we could see 500,000 Q3 this year. This is not a prediction. The only thing I want you to hold my name to is the minimum 300 within 12 months. But I'm saying we could likely go significant higher. So the answer is yes. Stimulus and currency dilution at the speed it is right now, which is quantitative easing on steroids, is breaking the model to the upside. But we'll see if this is the last cycle, or if means we go straight up now, which I think there's a very increased chance for, or we need to go through another tiny bear market. We will not have a long bear market. I can't see that happening at all. Dollars being destroyed too fast. I don't see a bear market. I see what I call some slaps in the face, maybe 40% down, maybe 50% down, because then I win some steak dinner bets. So I'm looking for those. So Carlos Bada, when are you planning on making a new position on Bitcoin? So if you're a copy on eToro, I write it there in my pin post. Please, everyone, read the pin post if you're copying me on eToro, considering. And I always say copy open trades, because if you come in and you have whatever amount of dollar, $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is, you don't want to wait for a dip. I buy the dips because once there has been a correction or crash, or a small thing like this, 10, 20, 30% down, I buy it because now the price anchor already has been thrown above, and I feel it's much safer to buy Bitcoin now at 53. I mean, it was safe also a week ago when we came from below and hadn't been above, but now it's like a rubber band that's been pulled down from that high price that we put around 57,500. And buying down here, I feel real good because we're just going to fly above, in my opinion, not financial advice. So I am 100% exposed. So anytime you guys, I get the question actually a lot. I don't mind. I get it. It's a understandable question. Like, is it a good time to buy now? Go look at my portfolio. If my portfolio says 100%, it means, yes, I think it's a good time to buy, because I already did and I didn't sell anything. These short-term things are unpredictable and untradeable. Don't get cute and try and trade the short term, because highly likely 99% of people anyway end up having less Bitcoin than if they just take their position. This is a bull market. The price goes up on average, maybe, I don't know what, 0.5% per day. What knowledge do you have that means that you can step outside a market going up 0.5% a day and you're going to buy it cheaper? It just doesn't happen. Look, the potential is what, 400x from here, 350x in my opinion, and then afterwards GDP growth. So productivity growth in society. So why do you need more than that? Buy and hold Bitcoin. We don't need to make a little bit here or there. At least the short term. Medium term, I'm still open for it. And I can go, without going into that. All right, Marius Al, I don't know if you're still here. You realize this is not the toxic happy hour pub that you entered, but just a boring Bitcoin Q&A. So I don't know if you're still around, but yeah, Bitcoin is not dead. Bitcoin is never going to die, if you ask me. So this this price swing down, which I think you're referring to, is just a great buying opportunity. But it doesn't mean we sold at 57 because we didn't know if it was coming. All it means when we have a correction is if you have money, dirty fiat lying around that you, and by the way, shout out to, I think it was Corey Clipston that I first time heard the term dirty fiat. Corey Clipston, CEO and founder of Swan Bitcoin. I think it was from him first time I heard the word dirty fiat. I absolutely love it because it's so spot on. It's a dirty scheme stealing the value of your savings. So yeah, when we're not going to trade these corrections because we don't know when they come. But if you have dirty fiat lying around when there's a correction, this is how I look at it. The rubber band has been pulled down, and the market is asking you, do you want to get in at 48,000? Because we've been here, now we're down to 48. You want to get in and ride this? And if you did at 48, you're already up, 10%. But never wait. None of what I say is financial advice. But don't wait with half your money on the sideline waiting for this to happen. Because we could have gone to 85 and then dropped to 70. And then what? You didn't buy at 50 because you were thinking it's maybe going to crash? No. So if you want to know if I think it's a good time to buy or not, go look in my portfolio. It has 100% exposure, and it's had 100% exposure except a few days the last 1.5 years when I started the account there. So when will Bitcoin fix COVID? So Bitcoin, as we famously say in the Bitcoin community, by the way, and Bitcoin fixes this was championed or created by Stefan Livera. You go back, was it last week or the week before? We had Stefan Livera on my channel, and Toxic Happy Hour, Poppy and I. Great dude. This guy is, I never actually met him or spoken with him, but having him on the show, you realize that that energy he's bringing, and guy is smart. The dude is smart. Go check him out. Go check the episode. He has a Austrian economics and Bitcoin podcast with biggest names in the space, and a lot of knowledge there. Go check it out. So when will Bitcoin fix COVID? So Bitcoin fixes things, but not instantly, right? So for us to have had maybe a better response on COVID, Bitcoin should have been money of the world for a while. So we don't have jobs that actually don't create much productivity would have gone. With Bitcoin as the money standard, there would be an excess of wealth in society. We're all going to get rich one way or another when Bitcoin is money. Not just in terms of being like having a lot of money, but life will change on planet Earth. By the end of this decade, life will be so much better than it is now. Really, if you're having a tough time in your life, there's light in the tunnel. Hang in there until Bitcoin has taken over. All of us will have our money that when we hold it and we keep it as a saving, it grows in value. Plus, because we don't have a central banking regime trying to push the prices of everything up artificially, which is an absolute joke and a scam to convince people that that this is good for you, that we steal the value of your savings so we can keep you in a job. Well, guess what? Back in 1873 to 1892, a 20-year period, was the fastest growth productivity that US had ever seen, almost a factor 3, because we had sound money. Gold was money back then. Bitcoin is an even better money. It's 100% cap, not even that like 1.8% inflation that gold has in supply because new things or new gold is mined. So Bitcoin will fix these issues and disease because the misallocation that central banks bring about with artificial, like destroying your savings, so you are forced into a mindset of consumption. Better spend the money now before it's worth less next year. So we're pushed into this mindset of overconsumption, while on a sound money, we will be holding back. We will start saving. We'll only spend money when we need it. We will start having a long-term time preference instead of short-term time preference. Instead of buying a shiny car here and today, I wait 5, 7, 8 years. I can buy a similar car and have a lot of value left over for my retirement. So what all that does, especially the artificially low interest rate, which is putting money around and misallocating it in the system to a very high extent. All that does will mean that money will go where it's really needed in society. It will go towards health. It will go towards research and development in medicine. Because right now, where a lot of people cannot afford healthcare because they're living in a society where their savings are stolen, prices of everything they buy go up. So fiat currency, central banks is killing bottom of society. It's wiped out middle class where had moved down, and the bottom of society is doing even worse. Central banks are not capitalism. Central banks is a socialist, communist institution. If you go back to Soviet Union, one thing we know for sure is that whenever you put down a committee to decide the price of a product, you see misallocation, and they didn't have enough products or services back in Soviet Union, a communist society. Free market need to decide. Now, central banks is a socialist communist institution. And if you look at how, in an economy, half of every transaction is money, because you pay for it and you get the product service. So half of any economy is money. That's on one side. On every single transaction, it's the most important commodity. The price of that commodity is interest rate, because that is the price of having that money and transporting through time. So we have in USA and the rest of the world, pretty much, we have central banks where we have these communist committees, 5 to 7 academics, thinking that they know the price, the ideal price of this commodity better than the free market. It's an absolute utter joke. It brings about destruction of capital, misallocation of capital, and it means that the money that could be used to research in fighting disease, because in a sound money society, even bottom of society will be able to afford healthcare, unlike right now in US, where that's hardly the case. So Taproot, and thanks for the donation yesterday for Puppy's mic. It's right there on my strike. We're looking forward to having enough for getting him a proper mic. So that is something that takes time, but we could have maybe cured cancer now if it wasn't for this evil central banking. So, and I lost my dad to cancer, so I don't like central banking one bit. I see what it's done to my family. I've seen what it's done to every single family. So it's not just a matter of, oh, we should convince them that we want sound money. No, we're in a war here. We're in a revolution to take back wealth to the people, to humanity, that has been ripped out of our hands. A prosperous life have been ripped out of our hands from the central banks, and it's time that we stop and take our stand and fight and take it back. And that's what we're doing with Bitcoin. So yeah, if I say shitcoin, it's because they are scams that delay the adoption of global sound money, and I'm upset that these guys are trying to enrich themselves at the cost of humanity that is getting delayed benefits of global sound money. Oh yeah, so Ryan, I'll do this very quickly. I actually already covered this. That's why I'm saying do not have a stop loss. When you have a stop loss, it means that when there's a price dip like we just had, then your Bitcoin is so cheap and you're not going to get it back at that price. I saw his tweet this morning. That's one of the first things I do is I jump on Bitcoin Twitter, usually before I can fully open my eyes. I've been on Bitcoin Twitter for a while. So Nick, do you short sell? I do not short sell Bitcoin. I do not short sell anything denominated in dollar, because the dollar is losing value. So even a bad company that performs poorly will have a stock price going up because the dollar is collapsing. And does my portfolio copy every buy sell you make? Absolutely. So when you copy me with open trades, you take the same positions as me that are 100% Bitcoin. And I'm just happy to see that what I was, when I said that Bitcoin will outperform all the shit coins long term. I didn't know it will do so like that much short term as well. If you look at the 12 months trailing performance, I am absolutely cleaning table on eToro, and I'm happy because this means that I'm helping people who weren't sure and maybe would copy a portfolio that has all this junk in it, in my opinion, and they get a portfolio because it has a better performance, because my 100%